Welcome back, everybody, to the Healthy Habit Podcast. And I'm your host of the podcast, Dr. Dayon of Healthy Habit Medical Center. We're located right inside Healthy Habit Health Foods. And we put this podcast together for you guys so you know what's new and to stay in the loop here at products coming in and out of Healthy Habit and guests coming on to educate us about products and various health topics. So if you're new to the program here and you haven't met Stacy Faulkner yet, well, number one, you're missing out. So it's your lucky day here. You get to meet Stacy if it's your first time listening in. Stacy's worked in the natural health industry since 2000, 25 years at this point. She knows a thing or two about health and wellness and the product industry. As a national educator for Emerald Labs, which is the additive-free company, Stacy provides insight and understanding to those seeking information regarding better health through proper supplementation and self-care. Last time we had Stacy on was episode 219, where we had our part one on men's health. We covered the men's multivitamin options by Emerald Labs, the prostate health formula, and today we're going to introduce more of a hormonal approach to men's health when it comes to estrogen and testosterone. Stacy, welcome back.
Hi, how are you? Happy summer.
Happy summer, and I hope you enjoyed the Niagara Falls. I know you were just there in Buffalo, and that's always a good thing to
Yeah,
experience if people haven't
right.
gone yet.
Yeah, it is spectacular.
So let's
Okay.
start off with, in general, if they haven't yet checked out episode 219, why is this an important topic? Men's health, hormones. You know, they tend to put health on the back burner, the men, and the ones that come here to the clinic, it was typically their wife or their girlfriend or their mom or their sister that first came to us, and then they get dragged in. So why is this an important topic on your end? Why did you want to do a part two on men's health?
So this product specifically is for men and women, and it clearly
Gotcha.
says it on the label. And also what we have as part of the label to explain it to everyone, it's estrogen detox and balance. So we're really looking at like targeted nutraceuticals that are approaching the oxidative stress that everybody is gathering every single day. And so trying to create men to have more of a dialogue, especially you with your patients or on the floor of like healthy habits, talking to a team member, or if they're doing research, etc., on things that they might be looking to, um, kind of curb whatever's going on with their own body. So the thing is, what this product is about is really kind of flushing out the excess, the dominance, the estrogenic dominance that may be accumulating in the body every single day. And so, like I said, targeted nutraceuticals to help really look at these or to approach these estrogens that are in the system and help with detoxification, phase one and two, and help easier elimination to the bile in the urine.
Absolutely, that's a great introduction, and it's an important thing. I have a lot of men, Stacy, that come to see me, and they're in their 60s or over the age of 50. They've never checked their hormones ever in their life in the blood work. And if someone's listening to this and they know they're overweight or they've been labeled as obese, they have over 40 pounds they want to lose, chances are if you were to do a blood test, you might see that your testosterone's low but your total estrogen load is high,
Right.
along with a bunch of inflammatory markers. So I'm going to do a quick screen share here on the Estrogen Detox and Balance product. Like you
Yeah.
said, it's for both men and women, but for the purposes of today, we're specifically targeting men's health. So yeah, get us started on that. What is the problem with having excess estrogen in men and not enough testosterone? That's very, very common.
So they're going to start to feel really sluggish, right? Tired,
Yeah,
make dark circles under the eyes. Well, most of the time, you can comment if you need to, where men you see are gaining when they have excess estrogen, like like bigger dominance. They're going to have weight more in the upper area of the chest, around the waist, on the back of the waist, on the
yeah,
hip. Okay, some of them can really get a bigger bottom, but also what we're looking at, and the tummy, obviously the tummy. So a lot of times with this estrogen dominance that may be occurring with men, it's they're holding on to a lot of cortisol, and so that is causing a huge imbalance.
definitely.
So um, looking at kind of balancing out the whole, helping out with the luteinizing hormone, and just overall, because if the estrogen is too high, like we're talking about just overall libido, we're talking about strength, we're talking about um, mental thoughts as far as, cognition can really affect, as far as like a foggy brain. Um, there's a lot of things that really be affected with the estrogen dominance for men.
Absolutely, couldn't agree anymore. I mean, and we need some estrogen. Men need estrogen. We need about 44, 45 units according to the typical blood reference ranges in order to keep our mental health, emotional health regulated, our skin health up to
Both
date, the
formation,
bones.
right? I mean, just
So, yeah, it's not just women that need estrogen.
yeah,
We need
I mean,
both. It's just the problem is the ratio gets out of whack where too much of the testosterone drops and then the estrogen then rises up into the 60s, 70s, even over 100 I've seen. And if you're doing a total estrogen check in the blood, that one can, you have a lot more room. Like you can go all the way up to 400, but then even that can get way out of balance relative to testosterone. So why this specific formula? Why this
well,
formulation? Break it down for us.
extrapolate real quick on what you were just mentioning as
Yeah,
far as
please.
the men and like if we're talking about the men's health and we're talking about like prostate and we're talking about testes and testosterone, free testosterone in the blood, right? So let's talk
Yeah,
about what could be causing the excess, the hormone, the estrogen dominance per se, the oxidative stress that
right.
a lot of people would not think or just kind of take for granted that could be really causing an imbalance in our system. And so right away, I would say the plastics, right?
Oh yeah,
The xenoestrogens right away that a lot of people can't get away from, especially with the water bottles. Those water bottles are really thin. You and I have spoken about this many times, just the water bottles alone. Think about what people are heating, food in, where's the food coming from, as far as like GMO food, the water filtration, what kind of water are people drinking? And then not only to talk about just like pharmaceuticals, drugs, alcohol, as far as everything has to be detoxified through the liver, right?
yeah,
Well, if the blood's coming through the digestive organ, it's flowing through the portal vein to the liver and it's carrying out the nutrients, but it's also carrying out the medications and toxic substances, right? But once they reach that liver, we're looking at a support for detoxification. So these
yeah,
substances like really be processed and stored and altered, and really detoxified and then passed back into the blood. So if they're not passed back into the blood in a really beneficial way, they're going to be released in the bowel to be eliminated, like I just spoke about through the urine um, or the bile, right? So people need to think about the food. They need to think about also the environment. So a lot of people think about factory workers, um, toll road workers, people that work on registers with BPA register tape all day, high concentrations of BPA in the fingertips have been noted.
right.
Think about retail, people that get a lot of gas off. So people that work in airplanes, go through, rental cars, um, hotel workers, all of that with the gas off. Hairdressers, nail techs, just there's so much gas off on so many different things. And so obviously it's not limited to just meals that we're talking about, but what we're talking about is trying to get this point across to the men in general right
Yeah,
now who might be listening to think about your environment, think about your daily activity. And I mean, even exercising can cause oxidative stress because you're breathing in all of
oh
that
yeah.
air, right? So that was kind of long-winded, but good. I'm glad you brought this up about causes of high estrogen. And that's a pretty lengthy list. So
Absolutely. And you hit on a bunch of these, which is nice. People like the visual. So as we're talking, you guys can follow along here on YouTube. YouTube's nice because you can see charts that I pull up and different illustrations and visuals and resources that I like to share. But yeah, all of these here can lead to this high estrogen. But obesity and excess body fat's a huge one in America. You
right.
know?
And then the stress is number one. If people know the
Yeah,
stress is number one, which is going to raise the cortisol level. Okay. So then the body's not going to release
right.
any of that because it thinks you're in fight or flight. And so that cortisol level, very high is going to lead to the obesity and body fat. The obesity is going to lead most likely to pre-diabetes or diabetes. Dysbiosis, people are noting this, that is just more bad bacteria than good bacteria in the gut.
Right.
So this is why we have a lot of leaky gut health issues in America. And
Yeah.
so this dysbiosis is one of the things like pharmaceuticals, viruses getting through the mucosal lining into the bloodstream because the, the gut, the junctions are not tight enough. So
Yeah,
this is
excess
it's such a
ex
process here of so many
r-
causes.
right, and you mentioned alcohol. Excess alcohol is a known contributor to dysbiosis and
Mhm.
raising estradiol levels, even taking too many antibiotics, right, Stacy,
Absolutely.
without replenishing that afterwards with a good quality probiotic
Right.
or getting enough prebiotics in the diet to feed the good bacteria can lead to that dysbiosis.
So I
And
do recommend this
yeah,
PCOS. Did you see this one? The polycystic
yeah,
PCOS. I've been recommending a lot of that, of the estrogen detox to gals that have been talking to me about that during, discussions. And so it seems to be a lot more in kind of the southern states I've been noticing.
right,
Um, but I have been recommending this estrogen detox and balance.
great.
And I
And I'm
know
glad,
that
yes,
for that there's a lot of different things that really alleviate the issues that are found with the PCOS.
right.
Uh, but we're just seeing more and more autoimmune diseases pop up, and it just really needs to be approached on kind of a nutritive value and what's going on that's being stored in the body as well, if you agree.
100%. And I'm glad that you first stopped. You first wanted to introduce why would someone's estrogen be high in the first place if they were to do a blood test, and things to look out for that symptom wise of what they could be feeling in that case as well. So the key ones there would be, regulating your body weight, getting your stress under control, toning down the alcohol if it's something that's a regular thing and if you know it's a problem or an excess. But then those xenoestrogens that you said, like plasticizers and different body care products, right? People that work in salons, they're
Yeah, they can have
breathing in
that.
that all those chemicals all day, right? They can definitely have,
Hairdresser, nail techs. I mean,
yeah,
I mean, yeah. I mean, there could be products alone that triple the amount of stuff that's in here. But this would be estrogen detox, is what I could really
yeah.
confidently recommend to all of that. Another thing is if you go back, do you see the uh,
Oh
hormonal
yeah,
contraceptives?
right
So
here.
you know that birth control pills right away block the absorption of folic acid. And if somebody has, the genetic variant of the MTHFR, how much is that going to affect right there that they're not getting the folic, convert into folate at all? And then if we know that something that's really one of the nutrients that's really effective for reducing estrogen load is B6, B12, folate.
Oh yeah.
Those right away. The B6 has been shown to actually, really help take those really strong estrogens and make some of them beneficial, where the rest of those guys are very helpful in making them weaker for easier elimination. The whole point is right, easier elimination and then supporting the liver between the oxidative first phase one and then the conjugated phase or conjugation stage of the liver detox number two. So
Uh
this
huh.
estrogen detox, as you and Aaron both said to me several years ago, this is a very potent formula. Do you still agree with that?
Oh yeah. I remember
Cool.
that. That was when we were still doing the radio show. I remember that
Yeah.
clearly. Yeah, and this is like you said, the hormonal contraceptives, for example, can deplete B vitamins, and this formula does have some key B vitamins in there with magnesium. So, and if you're trying to follow along on audio, where I pulled up here the estrogen detox and balance formula from Emerald Labs, and you can see right on the bottle it says for both men and women. In this particular episode, we are specifically highlighting men's health, but there is a lot of overlap here between both men and women with estrogen. And like I said, both men and women need estrogen and testosterone. It's just we got to get the ratios correct.
Right.
But yeah, this formula we have seen actual before and after blood work where estrogen load is reduced, especially total estrogen load, because there's many different types. We need the estradiol, but you can get an overall increase in even the bad estrogens. They get like out of proportion relative to the good ones, while the testosterone is dropping. So why this specific blend of 8 nutrients? And tell us what's going on there. Obviously, we're getting liver support, we're getting replenishment of B vitamins, and a lot's going on here. So let's hear your breakdown of the estrogen detox formula.
So one thing with the B vitamins, when B vitamins are at a decreased level, they do tend to disrupt that estrogen detoxification. And
Mm,
so that can lead to what? Increased levels of circulating estrogens, like what you were just talking about,
right.
right? And so they do play a pretty strong role in different ways. And so as far as like the B6, it helps with the phase two as the conjugation. And so we're looking at also B6 assists with the blood sugar balance. It plays a role in progesterone production. It raises progesterone, can also help to reduce histamine levels. So it actually stimulates mast cells to produce more histamine when it's in abundance, the estrogen. And so the B6 helps to reduce that histamine level. And so that's very important right there, which I think is just fascinating.
Yeah.
Also, the B6, it's helpful with a specific enzyme that helps break down that histamine that is now, maybe in abundance. It's the diamine oxidase, the DAO. So the B6 right there, I think that's pretty important. The folate, we're looking at just the genetic variant. More people need the folate. It is a precursor to the SAMe. So looking at neurotransmitters and things like that, estrogen dominance can have an impact on the mood. And so I think that's one important thing to recognize. And the B12 will really, it's really decreasing the reactions to sulfites. And so sulfites are kind of, found in a lot of different either I mean, wine right away, but sulfites are in a lot of
Yeah.
just processed food, and nitrates are in a lot of processed food. And so the B6, the 12, the folate, also B12 is an important activation of the glutathione pathway. So that detoxes the heavy metals and also additionally helps with the histamine breakdown, detoxification of the histamines.
Yeah.
So
Right.
perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Any foods with tons of those preservatives, like you said, the sulfites, the nitrites, a lot of processed meats, like
Like,
cold cuts of meats, the
yeah, hot
salamis,
dog. And it's
those
very,
types of things right there, the sausages and all
mhm.
that, that can throw things off. And we're not saying black and white, like never or right all the time eating them. It's just about lowering them if they're extremely high in the diet. And we know, based on blood work, that they have potentially contributed to you having too much estrogen in the system. So we've covered glutathione standalone in previous episodes, but tell us, we always have the new listeners coming in. Why is this included in with milk thistle, I3C, and DIM? And we'll break those down as well. But
Yeah.
you're our glutathione expert, Stacy. Let's hear
So
about this a little bit.
yeah, this glutathione is by Cetria. It's a Japanese company. It's guaranteed to be stomach acid stable for those that are concerned.
Uh-huh.
It's three molecule format. So it's like it's glycine, glutamate, and cysteine. But right away, people, if it's first time listeners, glutathione is our body's master antioxidant. So in a way to think about it, it's our body's Superman that is just flying through our system every single day and picking up all the bad guys. And those are called free radicals. So it's picking up all the free radicals, free radically scavenging, as we like to say,
Yeah.
picking them up to help kind of help with the liver to break those guys down, get it through the system and eliminate it, depending on, if it's a toxic, something that the body's breaking down as seeing as toxic format, it's going to eliminate it through the bile and the urine or the bowels. So
Right.
glutathione is our body's master antioxidant. And we get glutathione through food. If we're talking about, whole food, we're going to get it through ingredients that have, or, meats, proteins that have a lot of amino acids. There's certain
Right.
fruits, and vegetables that have amino acids. And so glutathione is an amino acid. So it's going to help with the production, that's going to help with the production. People can also take N-acetylcysteine. That's going to help with the liver as well. But also this milk thistle. So this milk thistle is also a super, super potent um, uh, um, uh, ingredient that we have. Milk thistle, we have a whole line of fruits and standardized extracts. So this is a European milk thistle. Um, it's very, very protective of the liver as well. But what it's doing here as far as protection is that it's a superior form of the milk thistle, and offers pathways to increase the liver regeneration and prevent the poisoning
Right.
that we can see from toxic substances, and so making the liver membranes that makes them like less vulnerable. And so with this, we're looking at neutralizing the free radicals again, and increasing the body's antioxidant of the glutathione. But it has something that's called NRF2, and also DIM has NRF2. And basically, it's very interesting, the protein that activates antioxidant protection. So you can see like a common denominator when looking at antioxidant protection throughout with this milk thistle, with this DIM, with this common denominator of this factor called NRF2. And then we're looking at this milk thistle that is also sold separately. It is just a vegan formula. It's a high therapeutic dose, but basically it's all six isomers. So it's 80% silymarins,
Yeah.
70% silidins, but it's all of the sillies. If people understand what milk this is all about, it's the isomers and all the different sillies that those are the compounds that, are the biological pathways to increase that regeneration I was talking about earlier and help prevent that poisoning.
It's so important. And I like how straight to the point specific the formula is, and a little bit more on glutathione as well. Like we can have a whole episode just on milk thistle, Stacy. I
I
mean, it's
know. And
so
carbonol and
the
dim, like from the brassicas, and just
right.
I mean, just those ingredients alone, we could even break it down into like I don't know, it could get really fascinating,
Right, and I wanted to summarize that glutathione is a vital molecule involved in estrogen detoxification, and like you said, as since it's the master antioxidant defense as well. And the research quotes word for word that glutathione plays a crucial role in neutralizing harmful estrogen metabolites and protecting cells from oxidative stress. So all these pathways that are needed to remove excess estrogen, glutathione's critical to run those processes. And if it acts as a cofactor, basically enzymes can't work unless there's a cofactor involved, and glutathione is one of those for these estrogen detox pathways. So very, very important for metabolizing estrogen, detoxifying it, making sure our blood has the right ratios between estrogen and testosterone. So that's just glutathione. And then we can even talk about I3C, DIM, specifically milk thistle as well. But tell us about DIM a little bit and what foods are important here. Hint,
So
hint, the cruciferous veg, right? Brussels
yeah,
sprouts,
the
broccoli sprouts.
brassica, the
Let's hear about
brassica,
that.
yeah, that brassica family is good, and people really need to take or not take, really need to eat their broccoli, their Brussels sprouts, their cabbage. Um, the brassica family, it's so nutritious, and so actually the indoles, so the I3C is the most beneficial of the indoles, and indoles are just phytochemicals found in cruciferous vegetables, and so DIM is a phytochemical, but it exerts the anti-fibrosis, anti-tumor, antioxidant, immunomodulatory, and detoxification of the liver, and actually the anti-inflammation. So DIM is a metabolite of I3C. So they're
Right.
both very, very helpful in detoxifying. And then, like I said earlier about the milk thistle, the common denominator there is the NRF2, which is an antioxidant. Um, it's just it has its enzymatic activity and it initiates production of the glutathione and other protective antioxidants. NRF2 is very fascinating. I stumbled across it looking for common denominators of, oh, actually, I have something that NRF2 is a protein. Okay, this
Yeah.
comes from oxidative medicine and cellular longevity. Protein that controls certain genes that protect the cell from free radical damage. It stands for nuclear factor erythroid 2 related factor, NRF2. A factor is a gene that determines a hereditary characteristic. The vital NRF2 activity is crucial for metabolic diseases affected, here's a common thing, by oxidative stress and
Mm.
inflammation. So this activity affects the activation of protective antioxidants in the body. NRF2 is expressed by a protective response to oxidative, inflammatory, and metabolic stresses. It's a common denominator between DIM and milk thistle protection.
Hmm.
I love that.
That's amazing.
When I stumbled across that, because then it, like you said, when we're looking at the nutraceutical benefits of all of them combined,
Right.
Dr. Spangler's putting these things together with clinical research, seeing what the end result's going to be. And so if people are listening or they're new to the show, bottom line is what? That the Emerald Labs products are result driven. We're really looking to amend, to prevent, to ameliorate whatever that consumer is facing. So in this case, it may be preventative. They may be facing something that
Yeah,
estrogen
exactly.
dominance that may be already affecting them in a chronic or acute way. right? So this formula alone is not just preventative, but it is formulative. It's also for somebody that is looking to face getting rid of a lot of things that they already know that's going on. Excess sugar in the blood, excess weight around the belly, looking at metabolic, the wellness is not good in the metabolism, right?
Right.
Uh, and things like that. Cholesterol levels,
Amazing.
totally.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And like you said, this can be taken preventatively as well. Always work with your doctor. And that pretty much brings us to the tail end of our segment here, Stacy. We're at the this was extremely informative. Sometimes we cover 3 different products with Stacy when we're
Yeah.
highlighting Emerald Labs. This was a focused episode on specifically estrogen detox and balance. And another reminder that indole 3 carbinol, I3C, and the DIM that are in this product, they're both found in cruciferous vegetables like
Mhm.
broccoli, cauliflower, kale, Brussels sprouts, cabbage as well, but broccoli sprouts too. I would recommend that you cook these foods, steam them, or bake them because they are goitrogens. Technically, goitrogens, 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 which are, if eaten raw, these can be tough on the thyroid and potentially slow down metabolism if you start eating tons of raw cruciferous vegetables. So try to cook those. And again, they're known for their potential health benefits related to hormone balance and even cancer prevention. So amazing. And again, that I3C converts to DIM in the body, like Stacy was saying. And I wish we can keep going, Stacy, but this was super informative. This rounds out our basically our part 2 talk on hormones and men's health in
Well,
general.
that was fun.
Maybe we'll bring up the testosterone health at the next one. We'll see.
And
But
that
yeah.
has to be its own one too.
Oh, perfect. What's
I mean,
that? Say that
that
again.
should be its own topic
Oh yeah,
too.
yeah.
You know,
Exactly, because that applies to both men and women. I just did a blood test on a 47-year-old woman, and her testosterone levels were on the lower end, but her estrogen and progesterone were still kicking. They were still being made nicely. So there's a lot of things that can happen here, but uh, we do have to end it there. I
hey,
appreciate your time, Stacy, and emeraldlabs.com, everybody. Emeraldlabs.com, and check out all these amazing products formulated by fellow naturopathic physician Dr. Mark Stangler. Always
that's it.
appreciate your time, Stacy.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Bye, dear.